Here's the translation of your text into English, keeping the original phrasing and style as requested. Hey everyone, D-MAYSTER channel, with another video for you. How are you all doing? I hope you're all wonderfully well. Today, bringing you some hot information, drastic changes in the world of One Piece, grand revelations that obviously bury many of our theories. Oda has just revealed Gunko'S family name, and what does that have to do with Brook? A lot, my friends. Watch this video until the end, because it's information that came out with the release of the physical volume, which many don't even get access to or don't even know about. And yes, it's basically a heavy-duty retcon. I've never seen anything in the world of One Piece like this confirmation that Oda just gave us now. Why did he do it? Was it a mistake? Was it deliberate? Or did he just forget? Well, watch until the end. If you're new to the channel, just watch it easy. And if you like the video, I ask you to subscribe. Now, if you're from the worst generation, there's no way around it. Thumbs up for the like to give that boost to the video. And now, with you, all about the D-Gun family name. So let's go, my friends. We're recently in a very big debate about Shanks' retcon and his arm mark. In my humble opinion, I consider it a serious mistake to call Shanks' arm mark a retcon, because Oda is still telling the story, and we don't even know when he got that mark. Why? People are taking pictures of Shanks as a child, where it shows the part of his arm without any mark. But he could have gotten that mark after Roger's death, after the execution, something we still don't have any scene showing. Oda is still showing, still telling the story. He's trying to explain why Shanks lost his arm to a Sea King. Of course, the story was supposed to be short, right? It wasn't thought it would be a series of almost 30 years. It needed an explanation. After all, how did such a powerful Yonkou lose his arm? It was just a gamble for the next generation, as he himself said. Even so, he still needed to explain what that gamble was, right? So Oda is telling the story. In my opinion, it's not a retcon. But after all, what is a retcon? Why is this word being used so much? And how is it used now with Gunko? Retcon is a situation where some event in an ongoing work of fiction ends up being altered, eliminated, or given a new meaning. A very simple example for you of what a retcon is: Superman. Everyone knows Superman, right? Back in 1900 and something, Superman didn't fly. In the beginning, he leaped long distances, kind of like Marvel's Hulk, which you see now. So Superman couldn't fly in the early days, much less fly as fast as a bullet. To the point of, in the movies, being able to make the Earth go back in time. But anyway, in the mid-1950s, some animation started coming out, and the animators realized they couldn't make a leaping Superman work. And they basically said, why are we making Superman jump? He already seems to be flying. So why not just let him fly? And so it happened. That's a retcon. Obviously, later came a whole explanation to mask it. He doesn't jump, he flies. The explanation was, it's not that Superman couldn't fly, it's that he was afraid of his own powers, which makes sense, since they are so supernatural. And being human was what he wanted to be. So he tried to limit himself to extensions of what a human could do. Run very fast, lift very heavy things, jump very high and far, and so on. But in the end, he had to admit that restraining himself in this way was seriously hindering his life's goal, to use his powers to protect people. And he finally flew in full flight before all the people of Metropolis. So you see, there's a retcon, there's a cool, super valid explanation for why he jumped before. He kind of limited it because he wanted to be human and didn't want to overextend his powers. And you realize that, when well crafted, retcon works in a very interesting way. And so, there seems to be a very common theme in many theories and discussions I see out there. Oda planned everything in one piece. No, guys. Is Oda a genius? I agree with you. But he didn't plan everything. He doesn't add up chapter numbers to insert a revelation, okay? So retcons happen within the series. Sometimes, they are used by him. Maybe you don't even notice. And that's not bad, okay? The word retcon has an almost dirty connotation, as if to say, he has no plans of what he's doing. He's just improvising. But in a story told weekly, over almost 30 years, you're going to have to introduce things you didn't foresee. For example, I firmly believe that hockey as a whole is a retcon, okay? And, again, this is not a negative thing. I believe that Oda saw that Akuma no Mi, as a power system, could not carry the series to the new world, where everything needs to be stronger than in Paradise. Nika's fruit also, I believe, is generally a retcon. I think Oda had an idea of the sun god, but this change from Gomu Gomu, for me, was a retcon. Okay? Even now in the series, we have characters who do strange things without explanations. Hawkins with his tarot, Miss Golden Week with her color trap. These are things that are not elaborated, but they are there if Oda needs to call them back. Here lies the genius of this author. As I said, retcons are not bad. Oda just doesn't use them frequently, but when he does, he plans ahead. and so well that, in most cases, it's impossible to tell the difference. However, everything changes when a retcon comes from a mistake. The most recent volume of One Piece alters some details compared to the Jump version, which is released digitally. This is quite normal, guys. And the physical volume of any manga is always what counts in canonicity. That's why you have the famous One Punch Man drafts. When the physical volume comes out, the redraws come out. Those old chapters that Murata altered only stay in digital and are corrected on the platforms. The physical volume will always count. Anyone who is a fan of One Punch Man knows that Yusuke Murata sometimes takes entire chapters and redoes them. Since it's digital, they just put it over, and in the final volume this redone version comes out, a retcon to give better continuity to the series. Okay? Well, in this physical volume correction, it was revealed that Gonku belongs to the noble family Manmayer. Yes, this family was revealed in the God Valley Hunt games. It was also revealed that Gonku has a suffix. She is called Gunko'S in Japanese, just like Zoria, who is St. Charles' sister. In the Japanese version, male celestial dragons are called Sei, okay? While women, like Gunko and Zoria, are called Gu after their name. Imu is called Imusei here in Elbaf, which practically confirms that he is male. However, Ivankov had already called Imu Imusei long before Elbaf, revealing that he is a man. When he talks there with Sabo, with Dragon, and talks about the Genesis book, the one that tells the origin of the nobles of this world. So it's not new, but remember, he could be a man who is in Lily's body, right? The change of personalities with the op no mi fruit. Well then, the suffix gu means saint. And why is that important? Well, you already got it, right? When the chapter came out, Gunku's introduction box only brought her name, Gunko, dry. Nothing else, no surname, no suffix, no saint. This generated a series of very interesting theories about her being recruited, kidnapped, raised by Saturn, a clone of I Am Sama, and so on. The revelation of Manmayer buries several theories, including that of Brook being Gonku's father, which had everything to be a big twist. But it was officially debunked now, by Oda himself, with this correction. And as disappointing as it may be, for some, the fact that Gonko is not Brook's daughter, perhaps it never made as much sense as people think. She calls someone father in her memories, yes, but even after that, she continued to call Brook by name, which already buried this theory. Of course, something is going on in her mind, there's a connection, but the fact that Gunko never explicitly called Brook father still leaves room for doubt. More importantly, however, is what this Gunko Manmayer twist means for Brook. The theory of Brook being Gunko's father may be dead, but that doesn't mean he won't do anything in the Elbaf arc. Even if they are not blood relatives, they still have a connection that is very important to both. Exploring this can contribute a lot to developing both of them and adding more drama to the arc, especially now that Imu is possessing Gonku's body. This is a chance to deepen Brook's past and personality, who is one of the Straw Hats with the least development. He is totally focused on comic relief. If Gonku can provide an opportunity to go deeper, we will gain a lot from it, even if they are not from the same family. Now honestly, this correction was something else, okay? I don't remember any so significant before. Man, forgetting the name in the presentation is super weird, right? After all, with Shanks, they put the surname Figureland. There was a small correction for Shanks too. They put that he is Garland Figureland's son. But Gonku? It was just Gonku, dry. I wonder if this was a deliberate mistake or not. Was Oda thinking about putting her as a member of the Manmayer family? Because it's a very recent development to have this type of alteration. And as I said, it has no precedent in the series. I've never seen anything as explicit as this alteration. Anyway guys, this type of retcon doesn't affect the story itself, because it was done at the very beginning. Gunko's story is not yet closed. This doesn't change everything we know about the character, because honestly, we don't know anything. Perfect. So Gunko and Brook's story is still open, and I think it even becomes more captivating now. It messes with several of our theories, including that of Brook having connections with the Holy Land itself, unless Gunko was adopted by the Manmayer family, which is quite possible. But it's still curious that Brook knows her in some way. Brook used to be a high-ranking swordsman of an army of a certain kingdom. Do you know the God's Knights? Was that kingdom Mary Jouaz? I think that would be insane, huh? What if we discover that Brook's real name is Saint Itambaram Biru? Understand? Itambaram Biru is from the D clan. And there's the B clan. Laughs. Well, theories die. New theories are born. I believe that the connection between the two, Brook and Gunko, may have been during a visit by the nobles, as it was in Great Terminal, where Sabo died, in quotes. The Manmayer family may have visited Brook's kingdom outside the Holy Land, while the parents inspected the place. And Brook may have been responsible for entertaining Gunko. If she is in fact a blood daughter, that memory may have been stored in her mind. Perhaps Brook was very kind, and when she heard the familiar music of the Soul King, those memories ended up awakening. It's possible. Perhaps Brook's kingdom was ruled by the Manmayer family before they helped create the world government. They may still maintain connections with the current kings of that place. Perhaps, somehow, Gunko was living in that kingdom and ended up in the hands of the Manmayer family, who took her to marry Juwaz and properly educated her to be a noble. And since she already had an Akuma no Mi, they made her a God's Knight as part of that process. That is, perhaps she was from a normal reality and was adopted by the Manmayer family. This is still possible. Remember Steri, Sabo's brother? He was a member of the Goa royalty and also wanted to join the nobles. He's trying to find a way in. Maybe that has already happened, which would explain why he's so confident that it's possible to become a celestial dragon. And look, curiously, Loki was recruited to join the Holy Knights. And Loki has pure royal blood. However, Loki rejected the offer. He doesn't want to be subordinate and hates the celestial dragons. Cool, right? Loki and Luffy's crew confirmed just for that. Laughs. But this might explain Gunko's irritation when Loki rejected the miracle of being offered to join the Holy Knights and become a noble. Because perhaps, if Loki joined, he would have to be adopted by a family and start using one of the founding names. Makes sense, right? Well, now we have many questions to be answered, okay? Is this celestial dragon girl from God Valley another member of the Manmayer family? I wonder what she means to Gunko. Is she a sister? Mother? Cousin? It's also interesting that we have an Easter egg about the Manmayer family in the One Piece live action, where the sets for the second season were revealed. And look, we have an establishment with the name fixed there, a kind of Easter egg. So there it is. This is the change, this is the revelation. Gunko is a saint and has the name Manmayer. What's your theory? Was she adopted? Or was she really born among the nobles? And Brook? Explain it to me. I want to know. Put what you think in the comments. How did Brook connect to the Manmayer family? Did he work for the world government? Did he work in the Holy Land? Super interesting. I think, in the end, the theory that hurts me most to see destroyed is that Gunko may not be York's daughter. Or, calm down there. Potentially, Manmayer is from West Blue, which means that York Manmayer might be one of them. And he's still alive. York Manmayer. No one takes that out of my head anymore. Refute me. Put what you think in the comments here. If you liked this video, leave a like, and until next time, thanks for watching. I'm out.